Like a for-profit prison is crazy in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got a bunch of, because they're not all like Billy Bobs and hillbillies or whatever, but they do like to get their rocks off. Like I would imagine, I don't know, man. I wouldn't do that job because I don't think it would sit right with my soul personally. That's crazy. I just don't. I don't think it's in me to do a job like that. But having whole economies based around it, right? Like there are whole towns. Do you know? So there are whole towns here in Southern California that are based around a prison. It's like a small town, like the prison is the main job source for everything else. So like there's the food company, food distributor that feeds the place. There's the cleaning people or whatever. Then all those police officers, they have jobs and their families are around. So then there's like housing for them. So there are whole economies around these prisons. So when you hear about them like shutting prisons down, like we just hear like shutting prisons down, but what they hear is a bunch of jobs being lost.
Right.
And so it's a big economic issue. That's why these states fight so hard to like keep these kinds of businesses in the business, because that's who does the business. And then what ends up happening is that the government says, hey, just to use a round figure, we're going to pay you $100 a day per inmate. Well, if the government is the one that owns the prison, there's a chance that the government might end up having to pay $110, $115, $120, $125 per day to house someone, where a private company could do it on the cheap because they're not responsible in the same way. So they can get the cheaper food, the this, the that, the this, the that, the this, the that, and they can save all the money. And that's why they privatized the prisons, because it's too expensive to do if you want to treat people like human beings. But if you want to treat them like dogs, then it becomes profitable. That is what no one ever talks about. That is the issue with the whole goddamn.
They're exempt from the 14th Amendment.
She could be on some, she's probably on bullshit. Let's just be real. Can we agree? Like outside of that moment that we just listened to just now, she's probably on some bullshit. She's probably sent a bunch of brothers to jail. She's probably got a couple upset baby daddies. She's probably collecting child support from a bunch of other people, a bunch of different men at the same time. However, that part, what she said right there was important. So I just say it like that. I know, shout out to Uncle D. I know Uncle D is got quite a few new faces over there, on the channel, which I'm glad. I am super glad. But sometimes ladies be uncomfortable though. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get into trouble over here. So this is the.
You got the few.
Have you had to smack a couple hoes?
Oh, a couple. Yes, sir.
Oh. What do they? Do they be like? Who keeps kicking me off? Do they hit you with those, or do they just? Are they like you all hurt? Who hurt you? Is that what they? Who hurt you?
No, it's just one goofy broad. Thankfully, I haven't seen her since. Maybe something more like dude called a straight random. Just he was talking about he was attracted to Filipino women. Said made some remark about him catching an STD or whatever. He said nothing to her. He just
he just chimed in in the chat like I like Filipinos.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's all he said.
Okay. But she thought she could throw some shots.
Yeah, I looked at we ain't doing that.
Better know where you are, ho. Better know where you are. You better know where you are, because we'll kick you out of here. Shout out to Cody Marshall. He said, I'm just getting over Mardi Gras. R.I.P. Roy Ayers. Oh, man. Dog, we're getting old, bro. Because people are dropping dead left and right.
Facts.
dropping dead left and right. Shout out to Cody Marshall, bro. Salute to you. I hope, did you work the whole time? The whole time? Or were you out there in the streets? Yeah, that's what, see, I gotta ask. I'm like, were you working or were you in the streets? I'm sure. Was he working? He was probably in the streets. Let's just be real. He was in the street. So check this out, man. This was the article you sent. Second inmate beaten to death at a New York prison. You know, say what?
Cody said he was working.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Okay, all right. Yeah, I was out there chasing tail. They're chasing tail, getting them beads. Do people from New Orleans actually participate, or they like, look at these assholes? Will they just hurry up and get the hell out of town? Like, do you actually be participating?
That's a great question.
Do you like, or do you just like send 12-hour shifts? Oh, are they getting you overtime though? Or are they stopping you at 36? Bitch ass. I know how they do. Stop you at 36. They'll just run you ragged for 4 days straight. Ain't that out of bitch? Ain't that out of bitch? 3 days straight. Okay. So another one beaten to death. Now, here is what I would like to highlight. And this is my my issue with a lot of these things. If a guy's in prison, do we care what happens to him? Like, is he no longer a human being? Not technically, but like how you feel about it.
Yeah. They still deserve some degree of human rights,
right? And like, especially when so many of us have been locked away unnecessarily, wrongfully.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like lots of men, lots of years of black men's lives have been wasted in prisons that didn't deserve it. Like I couldn't even imagine the number of
60 years for stealing the t-shirt.
Yeah. Brother just got out. He was in for 29. The guy that got out last week. 29 years.
Years on a great charge that the woman had a dream about him.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and not only that, but then to get in there, and then you have to risk not coming out alive.
Yeah.
And that I don't know. That seems a bit much for me. But let's go through this article really quick because I have questions. Said Messiah Natwani, 22, died at Mid-State Correctional Facility in Marcy on Saturday, March 1st. Spokesman for the Department of Corrections and Community Supervisions, DOCCS, told the Daily Voice. Bro, you know what's really crazy? The same place you're already dealing with a deletion, you'd think that these people could keep their hands to themselves. You know, like you would think that they would be on their P's and Q's.
Unless they've been doing that for so long, it's become.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. Unless it is just so normal that they don't have any other way, huh? They don't know any other way.
The line is Street Fighter, awful movie, but just one part. Like Ron Julia was a great actor. But one part of the character Sean Lee, she's talking about how in Bison, of course, this evil dictator, whatever, he completely decimated the village and all of this. Something along the lines of, see, that's the difference between people like you and me. For you, that was the most significant moment in your life. For me, it was Tuesday.
Jesus.
That's these officers.
Yeah.
Like, you killed my brother, my son, my uncle, you mother. That's Tuesday. The fuck you mean?
He's like, we do that every day. Like, what do you mean? That's exactly it.
I'm masquerade prison. The fuck you
I mean, that's where we put them. when they stop breathing, yeah, we that's where they end up. That's where they land when we drop the bodies back there. Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's a lot more of that going on than we really like we really, really want to admit. But shout out to Cody Marshall doing them 12-hour shifts, boy, getting that. Additional details about the death are not released. Of course not. But check this out. 9 inmates at the facility told the New York Times that Nwani was brutally beaten by the correction officers. Thomas Maley, a prison spokesman, declined to comment on the New York Times allegations in a statement to the Daily Voice, but confirmed that 11 employees involved in the incident were placed on administrative leave pending the results of an investigation. If I'm not mistaken, that number may have been increased to 15. Any deaths?
Just an aside, notice they don't show a picture of the victim.
Of course not. No.
I will say this, also, a job I worked at in the past, the brother I worked with, there was a Muslim. I don't know what his birth name was, but the name he changed the name to was Messiah Allah.
Ooh.
So I'm already putting the black face on this gentleman here.
Yeah. I mean, he's 22. He's a kid. Like 22 is young as hell. And you know what I worry the most about these young guys? I worry that they don't know how to deal with their emotions.
Oh yeah, facts.
We were having this conversation not too long ago. We had a young man that came in that jumped on a panel with Uncle D. I just remember, he was just, I could just tell that he was so young. I would have loved to have a bunch of guys, sit around and kind of give me a little bit of game when I was younger. Grown men did, but it was like coded. And I just had to like sit quiet and like observe. They didn't just say, hey, don't lead with your wallet. That bitch is going to take advantage of you. You know what I'm saying? They didn't come straight out and say it. They'd just be like, it was all like in riddles and whatever's, instead of like actually looking a dude in the face and being like, nah, man, I came home and my wife had a condom with another dude's thing, had a condom inside her from another dude. Like, holy Jesus, right? Like, like I didn't think a woman is capable of that. Yeah, a woman is capable, 100% capable of that, And I think that's the part that the benefit to this. It's like, damn, we can actually really talk to each other about something, like really give each other game. Anyways, no, this kid seems young, man. Messiah, not Nantwi. I mean, obviously that sounds like an immigrant name, but these younger guys, like, I don't think they're prepared for the type of like torture that you get when you go into a place like this, right? Like how they're going to try to challenge you, how they're going to try to pick fights with you, how people, they look for the weak. They try to figure out where how, and if you're not completely stoic and you know how to like handle yourself in situations like that, you could just be your food. And I saw another dude, and I saw another kid that got punched by a correction officer when he was doing the fingerprints or taking pictures. And basically, I think that he said he was like something, I guess the cop called him a bitch, and he was like, I ain't no bitch. And the cop just like banked him. I got the whole thing on.
Yeah.
So, and that was like a very basic engagement, right? Like, I'm sure he didn't think that him saying what he said was going to getting the forearm shiver. Now, I'm not saying that he deserved it or anything like that, but also if you're handcuffed and you got a guy, a cop in front of you that seems like they want to do you harm, antagonizing them is probably not the thing. Like, they're just not useful to antagonize them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you pick a different time or maybe he didn't recognize how on the edge that cop was. I've recognized a cop that was like on the edge where I'm like, oh, this one, he wants me to jump. Like, he really wants me to jump for sure. He wants to pull his gun. This guy wants to pull his gun. This one right here. Yeah, that one. Yeah, he wants to. So I'm going to keep my hands in plain view, my palms open, speak real slow, sir. Cause I ain't trying to get shot. It is what it is. Anyways, any death that appears to be from another from from other than natural causes or known medical condition is thoroughly investigated by the New York State Police, DOCCS's Office of Special Investigations, and notification is made to the Office of Attorney General, Maley said. Natwi had been in custody since May 24th. He was serving a 5-year sentence following a conviction for criminal possession of a weapon, according to state records. Wait a minute. 5-year sentence following a conviction for criminal possession of a weapon. Like 5 years is the max, or is like the minimum. So, okay. All right. His death came just days after several former correction officers were charged with murder and manslaughter following an on-camera beating death of inmate Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility, located directly across the street in December 2024. Oh, so it was not in the same place, just across the street. Got two jails across the street from each other? What the fuck is that all about? News of another reported beating death at the hands of prison employees sparked a scathing response from the nonprofit Halt Solidarity campaign. How many more incarcerated people must be killed or left to die before our state's elected leaders recognize that the real problem lies with the racist system of incarceration of the prison guards who for generations have relied on the legacy of slavery for their livelihoods, the organization's co-director Jerome Wright said in the statement. God damn. Seriously though. Like a for-profit prison is crazy in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got a bunch of, because they're not all like Billy Bobs and hillbillies or whatever, but they do like to get their rocks off. Like I would imagine, I don't know, man. I wouldn't do that job because I don't think it would sit right with my soul personally. That's crazy. I don't think it's in me to do a job like that. But having whole economies based around it, right? Like there are whole towns. Do you know? So there are whole towns here in Southern California that are based around a prison. It's like a small town. Like the prison is the main job source for everything else. So like there's the food company, food distributor that feeds the place. There's the cleaning people or whatever. Then all those police officers, they have jobs and their families are around. So then there's like housing for them. So there are whole economies around these prisons. So when you hear about them like shutting prisons down, like we just hear like shutting prisons down, but what they hear is a bunch of jobs being lost.
Right.
And so it's a big economic issue. That's why these states fight so hard to like keep these kinds of businesses in the business, because that's who does the business. And then what ends up happening is that the government says, hey, just to use a round figure, we're going to pay you $100 a day per inmate. Well, if the government is the one that owns the prison, there's a chance that the government might end up having to pay $110, $115, $120, $125 per day to house someone, where a private company could do it on the cheap because they're not responsible in the same way. So they can get the cheaper food, the this, the that, the this, the that, the this, the that, and they can save all the money. And that's why they privatized the prisons, because it's too expensive to do if you want to treat people like human beings. But if you want to treat them like dogs, then it becomes profitable. That is what no one ever talks about. That is the issue with the whole goddamn.
They're exempt from the 14th Amendment.
And you don't have any rights. You know, so you can't. So that's how they can do this stuff and get away with it. Or there's a lot of plausible deniability, because it's like, oh, he's a citizen, but that's why I asked what I asked earlier. Anyways, Wright called on state lawmakers to fundamentally transform prison systems by passing Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on right here. Even after some important reforms, mass incarceration remains a jobs program for upstate communities at the expense of the liberty and lives of Black, brown, and poor New Yorkers. Our hearts go out to all who love this young individual who must be devastated right now. This lynching cannot go unanswered. Incarcerated people's lives must be protected. Rights called on state lawmakers to fundamentally transform the prison system by passing an inmate bill of rights and sentencing reform legislation, among other measures. See, what I think that's a great idea. If there's a question of the safety in New York's prisons, this lynching proves it is incarcerated people who are not safe. Man, if that ain't the realest. Additional details about Nantui's life were not immediately available. Loved ones are encouraged to share blah 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 blah. Initial thoughts, because I know we were talking about the other situation. Are you asked you asked a very interesting question. Is there a pattern?
Right.
Yeah, it's like, is there a pattern? Am I picking up a pattern? This is just how you guys get down all the time, huh?
An inmate bill of rights would be a great move.
A bare minimum.
Yeah.
Bare minimum. Because the way that they've been able to get away with it all the way up until now is because by committing a crime and being imprisoned, their rights are not looked at the same. They're just not. They're not. So, and I'm not to say that not every person that, like these cops that did do this Robert Brooks in, like these guys are there. It looks like they are at least going to catch him. Oh, man, I don't know. No telling what charge they're really going to end up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But
usual shit, just get quiet and
all of a sudden they get released one day. We're going to talk about Derek Chauvin too. Ben Shapiro is trying to make some noise to get. We have no friends, by the way. Black men, we have no friends. I just want to let you, if you didn't already know. All right, New York State police say they're investigating. Okay, I just wanted to touch on this because, so in this article, Governor Kathy Hochul actually said something. So she said it's this report is deeply troubling. Kathy Hochul. 15 staff members have been placed on leave in connection with the death. Hochul said on Tuesday, 11 were placed on leave initially, according to the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. While the investigation, this is what I wanted to get to. While the investigation into the incident is ongoing, early reports point to extremely disturbing conduct leading to Ms. Nantui's death. And I'm committed to accountability for all involved. The people of New York extend our deepest condolences to Mr. Nantui's family and loved ones, Hochul said in a release on Tuesday. Nantui's death came nearly 3 months after the state inmate Robert Brooks, a 43-year-old Black man, was murdered after what authorities said was a December beating by correctional officers at a different prison in Marcy, less than a mile from Mid-State. The governor, when asked Monday about the reports of Nantui's death, said it was very much under investigation. Deeply troubling, Hochul said during the news conference Monday morning in New York City. The actual cause of death is not known, but it is my highest priority to get to the bottom of it and find out what happened. Upon immediately learning the death of the individual, we made a referral to an independent investigation by the Attorney General Office at the state police, as well as placed staff involved in the incident on administrative leave, he said. Due to that ongoing investigation, we have no further comments at this time. State police were told about Nantui's death on Saturday, and the agency said in a release on Monday. Nantui was produced deceased at Wynn Hospital in Utica, New York. State police said the circumstances surrounding his death are part of an ongoing investigation by the New York State Police with the assistance of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision's office, and especially and then the cops investigating the cops.
Scroll down a bit.
This is Robert Brooks. I think this was the other one, the other black man that they murdered while he was handcuffed in custody, because that's something that happens all the time. Nonprofit group calls for release of camera footage. Now, this is important. Nantwi was serving a prison sentence up to 5 years at Mid-State Correctional Facility for the conviction of a criminal weapon possession charge, a Class C felony, according to online incarceration records. So he was only, okay, here it is. And he was also facing murder charges in connection with the killings of 2 people in Manhattan's Harlem neighborhood in April 2023, according to court records. He had pled not guilty to those charges and had a hearing scheduled for May, according to court records. CNN has reached out to Nantwi's attorney in the 2023 case for comment. That's why I asked. So he's in there or he's still in investigation. So he's still innocent. As of right now, he was in jail for having a pew pew, and looks like he was still awaiting his day in court on the other things. Does he deserve to live? I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. Now, Nantwi's death comes after 6 prison workers were indicted on murder charges in February in connection with the death of Brooks. Authorities said Brooks died in the early hours of December 10th after he was beaten by correctional officers while handcuffed at the Marcy Correctional Facility. My question is, where is the Congressional Black Caucus, right? Like this guy, Al Green, and this is my